Transitioning now to the TikTok celebrity, Marco Brown. So Marco, thank you so much for taking the time. Looking at what you've done on TikTok is phenomenal.
My name is Marco Brown. I'm a divorce attorney in Salt Lake City. Have a firm since 2010. All we do is divorce. We do pretty much more than anybody else in this state of Utah. And before I get to TikTok, I do feel compelled to talk about this real quick. When I was younger, I was morbidly obese. And I think this is something that we should talk about as lawyers during this period of time and as professionals during this period of time, because it's so hard to keep yourself active and really in shape and doing well. When I was younger, I was morbidly obese and I got myself out of that. There really is no magic bullet. You have to move more. You have to eat less. In my experience, the eating less was like 80% of it, because that was my problem. It was just terrible, way too high caloric intake, and I was eating the wrong foods and all these sorts of things. But you just have to make that decision that is going to happen and then work it. One thing I would say is get used to being hungry if you're going to lose weight, because you have to intake fewer calories than you expend. And when you do that, your body is going to get hungry. So just get used to that, embrace it, get down to the healthy way, to the healthy fat content that you want in your body, and work it. But again, no magic bullet here. So TikTok, for those who don't know, is a really new social medium. And it's mostly about like dancing and, music videos. They have a copyright, so you can use 15 seconds of a song without a copyright infringement. So you can have these little 15-second videos and it's people dancing around to Eminem or whatever it is. I don't do that kind of stuff. I'm 43 years old. This is not my jam. So I just got on there and started experimenting with it. I just answer divorce questions. That's pretty much it. So you'll see the pizza thing on there. So I do some other stuff, but the vast majority of it is just me getting on and answering people's questions about divorce, about custody, or just kind of making my own posts about it. That was it. I didn't know what to do, so I just started doing that, and it's worked pretty well. I have friends who have significantly more followers than I do. There's an attorney, I think he was like the first attorney ever on TikTok. He has 2 point some odd million followers, but he does a lot more kind of crazy videos. I have a friend, Kelly Chang in LA, who's a divorce attorney. She was an actress before she became an attorney. So she gets on there and she dances around and, does stuff like that she's comfortable with. But I'm just not really comfortable doing that. So I went with what worked for me, which was answering people's questions. And TikTok is this great medium. The longest video you can do is 60 seconds. So I have to get on there as a divorce attorney and talk about complicated legal subjects to lay people in 60 seconds in a way they can understand it. And that is really rough. What's really easy for attorneys is to talk to other attorneys about attorney stuff and use attorney words, right? This is a very, very different sort of deal. I just took it as a challenge and started going through and making as many of these videos as I could. The last probably month, I've dropped off a little bit of my production. I need to get back to it. TikTok really likes a fair amount of postings per day. I think the optimal is like 3 to 8, which actually isn't that tough when you're doing something like I am and you just get on there and answer questions. But it does want consistent content. I haven't been good about that the last month, which is why my followers have kind of plateaued a little bit. But I think it's a great medium. It skews heavily female, younger. I get clients from it, but not as many as Google AdWords and these sorts of channels. But I don't really care when push comes to shove, because I think it's a great exercise. It's gotten me recognized in a whole bunch of places. And so I think that's really the best part of it.
That was the main point I wanted to kind of ask you about. So a couple quick questions that I've had lingering about this that I want you to answer. Every attorney needs to overcome at some point is what I call, or any business owner for that matter, is what I call ROI obsession, where every single thing you do has to have an exact measurable ROI. If you only focus on things that have a direct ROI, you miss those big like trending platforms like TikTok, and you can miss big brand moves. So talk to us about like, what is your belief there? When you went into TikTok, you probably went in not looking for an ROI. You probably went in with more of an experimental mindset. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So I was kind of looking, if you were ever reading Nassim Taleb, who wrote The Black Swan, I was kind of looking for an asymmetry, which is you experiment with stuff and you figure out what works, but you'll have channels where you really do exceptionally well. And you never know that you're going to do exceptionally well on some sort of channel until you take a chance and actually work it. and see if it functions for you. So I've just kind of gone out and done that with a few different places. And I've been most successful on TikTok with this. Most of our revenues actually comes from Google AdWords. But TikTok has been very good in a lot of different ways. But you really do have to just decide that you're going to experiment with it. I have absolutely no concept what the ROI is on TikTok. I have an okay concept when it comes to Google AdWords, but when push comes to shove, I just don't really care. What I care more about is ubiquity. So you want to be places and be seen by people. And I think that ultimately is much more productive than sitting around with your SEO guy and trying to figure out what your ROI is on a blog post. Like,
So,
who cares, man?
all right, this is amazing. And I knew beforehand that we had very similar beliefs here. Another question I have is, if everyone could just get this, the consistency part, where you didn't just commit to doing one video like a day for a week. This is like months later and you've stayed consistent. And I want to zoom this out to YouTube. I want to zoom this out to writing books like Dr. Nick has, zoom this out to putting out content consistently and not just being a one-hit wonder or being excited for 7 days about, I'm going to do YouTube videos, I'm going to do TikTok. You know, Lance also is he's staying consistent right now with putting out YouTube content. So talk to us about that, Marco. What is the habit underneath when you go into TikTok and then months and months later, you're still on TikTok?
You just have to decide that you're going to do it more than anything else. I go through periods where I plan out, a few days in advance, what videos I'm going to do. I sit down and I think about it. Those are the times when I'm actually most consistent and tend to do the best. So that's what I would tell people is, the day before, whatever, have your checklist of things that you do during a day to make yourself successful, and just run through that checklist, come up with video ideas and go execute on those. That's how I've been most successful. But other than that, just get on and do it. If they're not the greatest videos, okay, that's totally fine. Like, you're competing against 16-year-old girls that are dancing around. Like, it's okay. You're not competing against a ton of other lawyers that are on this medium. So that you're not the best at it is all right. And you'll get better. Like, I've gotten so much better on camera. You can't tell, but I've gotten so much better on camera since I started doing these videos. In the beginning, they were just awful, but you just have to keep doing it. So it's really that default to action.
Another question here is, which you kind of alluded to, is even if you got 0 clients from this, right? And you were to walk away with 2 or 3 long-term skills and habits in terms of either creating micro content, speaking faster, being better on camera, getting to the point, what would be those handful of habits that you will reapply to any other marketing channel in the future endeavors of your firm in marketing?
The ability to speak quickly, to convey complicated ideas in a short amount of time, and to be able to look at a camera and speak into a camera, which is the weirdest skill that human beings possess. I mean, we're made, human beings are made to talk to each other. We're made to look each other in the face, and talking into a camera when you can't look at somebody in the face is really, really difficult. But I'm firmly convinced that the written word has been around forever and will always be king. The next is video. And if you can create massive amounts of good video content, you're going to be head and shoulders above every other competitor you have in the legal field.
My last question here is quality versus quantity. How would you respond to that?
I would think quantity, probably, because in my experience, at least, quantity has allowed me to improve quality.
The thing that I see here is, and we deal with a lot of lawyers, is if you have faith in the knowledge you have about your profession or your practice area niche, then you shouldn't be worried about quantity, right? Like, I should say that should be all you're worried about. It's just quantity. Just literally open the lid on all the reasons why clients have hired you in the past because of the knowledge you already have, right? If you don't have faith in that, then I would suggest not faking it. I would say, like, get some experience or just speak on the things you're experienced on. That could be health and fitness. That could be not lawyer stuff. I appreciate it. Any final words for people looking to take massive action on their marketing?
Pick channels and go to it and see what works for you, because you have to experiment. You will not know beforehand. You will think you know, and then you'll get into it and you're like, wow, I suck at this. And you do something else and you're like, I'm great at this. I had no idea. So just go experiment, see what works.